it really is a love letter to an era. It's a love letter to these characters. It's been a dream to work on.
I like the blonde. I'm digging it.
Thank you. It's relatively new. I appreciate that.
I love it. I also went blonde recently, so we're in the same boat.
Nice.
Now I know you from your MonsterVerse work, so this feels like, at least at the surface, a bit of a departure. How did you get involved with this series, and why did you want to bring this story to life?
I grew up in LA, and I grew up as a fan of basketball, and my first sports memories are watching Magic Johnson and Kareem and the Showtime Lakers. So I was kind of a natural in that respect. But this was, this was the moment where basketball transformed, LA basketball transformed culture. The moment the book was brought to me by Jim Hecht, who optioned it initially and is an enormous Lakers fan and saw the potential. We were introduced by mutual friends, and he and HBO and Adam Hay and his partner Kevin Messick were looking for a showrunner to come forward and create the show. I realized that in reading the book, there was so much I didn't know, and particularly the way in which this kind of epic about the beginning of a basketball dynasty could be, and really is, a lens onto a transformative moment in culture that we feel the ripples of today.
Yeah, you mentioned kind of learning new things. Was there anything, just diving in, what were you most surprised to learn that was like 100% true?
Oh my God. Well, I keep saying we have a rule on the show, which is that all of the things that will make an audience gasp and go to Wikipedia and say that can't possibly have happened and look it up, all those things are 100% true. The list goes on, but without giving away spoilers, the fate of Jack McKinney, the reason why Jerry Tarkanian doesn't wind up the head coach of the Lakers, the way that Pat Riley didn't begin as the Armani wearing sex symbol, the trajectory of the career of Spencer Haywood, which transpires largely in the back half of the show. These are all things that I had no idea about when I came to the project, and I was already a fan. And I think they're those are some of the most compelling things to watch.
Yeah, you're talking about the Wikipedia deep dives. After every episode, I had to stop and be like, I have to look up if that really happened. And it did.
I love that.
Talking about just like fandom pressure, because you've worked, MonsterVerse, you dabbled in Game of Thrones, and then the Lakers themselves, where do they all rank in terms of just responsibility and pressure that you felt for the fans of the Lakers?
There's a similar thing. I think it's like, you feel a tremendous responsibility to the fans when you're honored with the ability to tell that story. For me, it always helps to be a fan. And I am, I'm a huge Lakers fan, sometimes disturbingly diehard. So I know what that's like. And I know what I would care about. I know that I would bring a critical eye to any show that was trying to tell that story. And at the same time, I also know that I wouldn't be interested in telling the story if it was only a story for fans. I think part of what's beautiful about it is that we are interested in the way that this is a lens onto things outside the court, in the same way that any, great television show about a specific thing hopefully attempts to do. I mean, that's what we're trying to use this as a lens onto American culture.
Yeah, and just the look and feel of the show is so incredible. Like, you really captured the time, and the cast. Like, when they started coming together, who was the most difficult person for you guys to find?
I think Francine Maisler would tell you, she cast the pilot and is one of the great casting directors alive, and has worked wonders. I think she would probably tell you that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the hardest character she's ever had to cast. Because not only is he a real person who you have to match, in terms of likeness, he's also 7 feet tall. And the actor has to play basketball believably. And beyond that, Kareem is such a specific figure. He's a guy with gravitas intellectually, and someone who, so they had a nationwide search, worldwide search, really. And, we saw dozens, they saw hundreds, and the casting gods smiled because they called one day and they said, look, he's never acted before, but there's a guy who has a doctorate in education policy, who's 7 foot tall and played for the Harlem Globetrotters, and that's Dr. Solomon Hughes, and he's turns out also gifted and an incredibly hard worker, and manages to stand toe to toe with this cast of some of the finest, most experienced actors working, and hold his own.
You mentioned you like to work on things that you're a fan of. I'm just curious if there's anything, is there a type of project you haven't tackled yet that you would love to get a crack at?
That's a great question. I mean, I think honestly, this project, it's right in a sweet spot for me, because I'm just, I am obsessed with LA. I'm obsessed with history. I'm obsessed with American culture. And so this has given me such a canvas and such freedom. And HBO has been so supportive that this isn't just going to be constrained to being a show about what happened on the court or what's in the Wikipedia page about the Lakers, that we are allowed to bring to it. And when I say we, me, but also, I always encourage everyone on the crew, our costume designers, our production team, all of them to sort of bring to the project their own experiences of that era, because we all have it. And so it really is a love letter to an era. It's a love letter to these characters. It's been a dream to work on.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. So lovely to talk to you, and congrats on the show. It was really awesome. I binged through every episode we had. So
I love that. Thank you, Ash. It's really nice to see you. Take care.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.